In this session, we're going to dive into personal practice. Up until now, it's all been about historical magicians and cultural traditions, and I'm excited for the shift. This video answers question 6 of Magic for Priests in the ADF Clergy Training Program, as well as question 7 in Initiate Magical Practice 1 in the Initiate Program, and question 2 in Magical Practice 1 in the Magician's Guild Study Program, as it stands at this recording. The question prompt is: discuss the relative place and methodologies of magic within your personal, religious, spiritual practice. So, today we're diving into your personal practice, examining how you do magic and how it connects with your spiritual practice. This question is, at its most basic, when, why, and how do you use magic in your spiritual life? That means that there aren't any wrong answers, because this is about you and how you've built and how you see the relationship between magic and spiritual work. Because this question is so specific to your personal practice, we're going to look at some basic strategies for answering it that might help you organize your thoughts. And because it's about personal practice and so heavily reliant on your interpretations of the work, we recognize that there are a lot of paths to travel to get here. And it's possible that you might like to try out several of these strategies, or maybe only one might work for you. It's possible that none will, but I hope that's not the case. But once we've covered the basic strategies, I'll take you through my own answer to the question. If you're watching this on my Patreon page, or if this video has made it to the ADF pages as part of a study guide, there should be a resource linked to help you out with each strategy. You remember our first exercise from grade school. I think I did it first in 3rd grade. When describing something, ask the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. I think it was in 5th or 6th grade that we added how to the list. Anyway, the process of thinking about these 5 W's and an H gets us to all the information we need to answer the question as written, probably even with enough words to beat the word count. So, if you want to try out this strategy, sit down and think about these 5 W's and how you can apply them to your practice. With whom do you do magic? What sort do you do? When do you do it? Where do you practice? Why do you do magic in those situations? And of course, how do you do it? These can be simple sentences, or they can be really in-depth. Once you've jotted them down, go through your notes and try to come up with a cohesive story about your process. There's nothing that can speed you down the path of organizing your thoughts as quickly as trying to work out how to explain your process to someone else. This is, after all, one of the main benefits of working on the Druids and Cars Going to Festivals podcast, where I learn all sorts of interesting things about my own work while speaking to Reverend Avende on long drives. But to keep you from floundering around too much, I recommend that you start with a little organizational document so you can at least have a starting point. You should have a section to help you organize your practice into words, a section for questions you want to ask the other person, and a section for notes about the conversation that you can apply to the answer you eventually submit. Then, sit down and chat about your magical practice. Talk about things you've done, the types of experiences you've had, and where you expect to go with it. If you want to record it on your phone so you can go back and listen to it, ask your conversation partner if that's okay. And of course, feel free to offer them the recording if they're going through the same program. Then, listen to it and create a coherent story to answer the question. If you're not deep into practice yet, it might help to break things down before you answer the question. Here we're going to think about the question in 2 parts: methodologies of magic and how you can, or think you might, apply them. We've talked a lot about magical traditions, symbols, and even specific workings in the last few discussions, particularly in our answer to question 5 of Magic for Priests 1, and it's worth looking through the notes for that question. What appeals to you about those magical practices? Are there aspects that you dislike that you've modified? If you don't currently have a magical practice, you can spend a lot of time thinking about how these were practiced and their applications in the modern world. Now think about your own practice and how it relates to these ancient practices. Do you do any work that matches these modalities? Have you found a unique way to apply 1 or 2 of them? Have you created something different but based on those experiences? How do you see them in your work? Your aim here is to explain the place of these methodologies in your work, to give a window into the process. Now, while breaking it down is a great place to start if you're new to practicing magic, if you have no deep experience at all with something you'd consider magic, think broadly about your style and preferences. Do you like working alone or with others? Do you prefer structured or unstructured magic? Do you think magic is a way to satisfy your curiosity or your needs? Whose style of magic, whether real or fictional person, do you think you'd like to model your style on? If you've had a successful magical working that you really liked, focus on that for a moment. If you describe a real experience, it can greatly deepen the context about what works. Then, review your notes and create a workable description of your style and practice. After we've organized a bit, it's time for us to think about how we'd actually answer the question. This question only requires 100 words, so hopefully the strategies provided in this video will help you achieve that word count with no issue. I went back to look at my original answer to this question back in 2006. Geez, it's been 15 years as of this recording. At that time, I was primarily using magic to improve my ritual skills and to satisfy curiosity. You can read that answer in a link in the video description or here. Today, if I were going to answer that question, it would be something more like this. As my magical practice has developed over the years, it's taken two tracks. One is primarily thaumaturgic and one theurgic, and they exist in very different places in my practice. The theurgic work is what I consider my primary work. This work is primarily confined to an ADF core order of ritual approach, and it draws on ancient modalities like trance induction, praise of various spirits, and deep personal relationships with those spirits to draw out the power of the work. The thaumaturgic approach pulls from the initiatory current of ADF and from my work as the co-owner of a local spiritual supply store. Through these paths, I connect with people of all walks of life and belief structures, for whom a personal spiritual connection is not always an appropriate vehicle to access cosmos-altering, life-improving work. It relies most often on ancient sources that are modified to create an experience that is accessible, meeting people where they are, and doing the most good I can. That's about 160 words, so well over the minimum, and I feel like there's so much more that I could say. It's really important for us to remember that this question doesn't have a right or wrong answer, and it's really a point-in-time sort of answer. It shows what you're doing today with the tools you have. Just like my answer has changed in 15 years, yours likely will too. Don't get stuck on the idea that you're not doing enough today. Just answer as honestly as you can about what you actually do, and you'll do fine. Thanks.